Welcome to Land Grant Today. We have an amazing show for you guys. Our guest today is Mr. Norman Scarbrough. He's a vet technician with the College of Agriculture and Food Sciences. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's get straight into it. What exactly is a vet technician?
Well, a vet technician is someone who has attended an accredited program, veterinary technology program, and they've gone on to take the national board exam, called the VTNE, Veterinary Technology National Exam. And once upon passing that board, they end up getting their licensure, and they've graduated with either a degree or bachelor's in animal science or veterinary technology.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What makes your job interesting?
One of the things that makes my job interesting that I enjoy is that the vast slew of animals that I get to work with. Mm-hmm. And here now being in academia and working with here at FAMU on our farm, it's cows, horses, pigs, goats, but just in general out there in the field, dogs, cats, snakes, turtles, even birds, you never know what's going to walk through the door. So it keeps it very, very interesting.
So that segues into my next question. Do you have any control on what type of animals that you work with in the hospital or the clinic?
Every vet clinic is situated very differently. Mm-hmm. Some hospitals, they will see dogs and cats and see what we call pocket pets. And pocket pets are like your hamsters, your gerbils, even domestic rats. Yeah, I know, right? Mm-hmm. And rabbits, even spiders and things like that, tarantulas. But then you have some situations where it is an exotic only, where they see reptiles and amphibians, and that's all they see. So you can pick in terms of what you're going to see depending on which clinic you decide to go into. But the thing is that it's just, once again, you just never know.
Never know.
You have your general hospitals in which take in just about anything, and then you have your veterinary clinics or exotic clinics that tend to just take exotics.
Okay. I'm curious, are you okay with spiders and reptiles?
I am actually okay with that. That's my thing. Okay. I'm that guy at our program. I love the reptiles and snakes and the creepy crawlies. I have an interest in those kind of things.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
I was curious. Now let's talk about the more exotic animals.
Yes.
As a vet technician, how do you go about working with tigers, monkeys, bears? What's the process or?
Yes, the process. So once a technician or a person has gone and graduated, from the tech program, and they've gotten their license, so they passed the VTNE. So now we branch off into areas in terms of dealing with wildlife. Okay. We dealing with various type of exotics, because just exotics and wildlife is sometimes used interchangeably. So in terms of, there's something called a VTS. Veterinary technology specialist, in which they can further their education. Mm-hmm. And so that allows them, gives them a kind of a one-up, if you will, in terms of working with those types of species. Marine life, technicians like to work with marine life. Okay. Technicians who specialize in working with primates or traveling abroad, doing things like that. Mm-hmm. Me personally, when I got my license and I became an LVT, licensed vet tech, or CVT, that's also used interchangeably, I got to work with primates. I got to work with macaques, and it was more from a position of just seeing how they are and their behavior, things like that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
From time to time, when I'm walking on campus, I see cats or kittens, strays.
Yes.
And I'm an animal guy, but curious. Should we be concerned with these animals that are roaming around on our campus? And it's not a lot, but from time to time.
From time to time, yes. And I tell you, you would think it's just, it's a cat, it's a small cat, it's a stray, and you see that all the time, right? You see cats roaming about. Right. But the best thing that any student or any faculty or staff could do is leave them alone. Leave them alone. Okay. Because one, most cats like that aren't used to the human interaction, and they have the potential to become feral. So what you can do is just call animal control if you're concerned, call them, get them involved. But there's no need for you to put yourself at risk.
Okay.
Yes.
Totally agree.
Yes.
The next question is near and dear to me. We had a family dog. He died extremely young. He was well taken care of, by the way. Oh, boy. And he died. So as a vet technician, how do you go about handling that situation, especially with children or even just adults who are mourning over the loss of an animal?
Yeah. First, I'm sorry for your loss, and that's not an easy thing to deal with. And as a vet tech, one of the things that we can do is just provide support, just be very supportive. And you know, in a situation like that, there's not so much as what you can say versus just being very, very supportive, and allow the families to grieve, because people need to go through that process.
Definitely.
And that's really the best thing a vet tech can do, just be very supportive, allow people to grieve, and to not so much vocalize pain or hurt, but when they leave the clinic, they go home and let them go through that process.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you've been in the industry for some time.
Yes.
Is there a story that you can share that you'll never forget about an animal?
Oh boy, yes. I have two, if I may.
Sure,
I have two. Sure. One was I was working in an exotic-only clinic, okay, and there was a Burmese python that was there. Yes, and the technicians were trying to medicate this guy, and he was tossing around these guys like they were nothing. It took like 5 people just to restrain him and to pill him, because they're strong. Right. You know, they seem so docile and just quiet and slow moving, but they're very, very strong. And another story that I have is one about my own cat. Okay. Her name was Chit Chat, and she's no longer living with me, but Chit Chat was quite the character. I used to do pet sitting, and when I came back home from pet sitting for only 2 days, I was looking for her, and I couldn't find her. I was like, Chit Chat, where are you? And she's an indoor-only cat. And I went to lay down just to take a nap. I figured she's probably hiding somewhere. And I went to lay down, and she had stuffed 3 days worth of poop underneath my bed.
Oh, under your pillow?
Yes, underneath my pillow. And I thought, wow, this is a very, very smart animal. Yeah, I thought, wow, that's pretty unusual for a cat to do that.
Interesting story, because normally they use their litter box.
Yes, normally they do, but she was not happy with me.
Okay.
So the old story that you may hear about cats, you know, they're watching you.
They're watching you.
Yeah, they're like,
Very interesting, very interesting. Going back to the snake python, you had to put a pill, or the team had to put a pill in his mouth?
Well, what happens is that usually they put pills inside a prey in order to get medication in, because they don't take tablets. Okay. So they had to put a pill inside a prey and then put it down the animal's throat. That's how they get their medication.
All right, I just want a clarification on that one.
Yes, sir.
All right, we do have to go to break, but when we return, we'll continue talking about the vet technician and the various animals that they encounter throughout their profession.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
Next.
My name is Dr. Jamie Davis, and again, we have the pleasure of speaking to Mr. Norman Scarbrough. So let's transition to South Florida, or just Florida in general. Typically, our summers are extremely warm, or some would say hot.
Yeah.
What's the proper way to care for animals during this heat?
The best, this is a broad subject, and just some tips that you can do to help protect your animal. Avoiding extreme heat, especially in the middle of the day. If you want to walk your dog, take them like early morning, late evening, again, just out of the heat of the day. Don't run them too hard, especially during the middle part where it gets really hot. If they have to go out to use the bathroom, or if you're home, letting them out, just keep it short, let them do their thing, come back in, protect them from the extreme heat, because they get susceptible too. Right. And it gets very, very hot. That's one of the things you can do. And you can even shave them too, shave your dog. If they're really furry. Just kind of shave them, take some of that pressure off the heat. There's just some things that you can do. And then, of course, not leaving them in a car, if it gets really, really hot.
Follow-up question. Why do you think that problem still persists? Because we talk about it so many times, always on the news, but people still do it.
It's a good question. It's a good question. And who knows, either people aren't paying attention, or maybe, they're just not thinking about it. But yeah, it is an issue.
Yeah, huge issue. Okay, let's transition to reptiles.
Yes.
One of your specialties.
Yes.
When I lived in South Florida, I would hear from time to time of people having snakes as a pet. The snake gets too large, and they kind of take them to the Everglades. Right. And it end up causing issues to other animals in those areas. What's the proper way to handle that situation, or just reptiles, snakes in general?
Well, when you're looking at reptiles, I call them the ultimate survivor. These guys have become very adept to survive in situations and be able to thrive in just about anything. But the thing about reptiles, or with any, especially the giant snakes, is understanding before you get them, how big will they get? You have your ball pythons, they get only 5-6 feet in length. But understanding how big they are, you can avoid that situation and really look at, okay, can I handle this animal? So I guess that's with anything, just like you would a dog or cat, research. Research the animal that you're interested in getting in. That would be the best advice I would give you. Okay. Yes.
Alligators. From time to time, I hear the story of alligators attacking small dogs, especially in the Florida area.
Yes.
What is your advice on avoiding those situations, or certain reptiles?
Yes, gators, those type of reptiles, things like that, especially your larger ones that feed on, they're carnivores, feed on prey and all. When you're out and about, especially if you know that an area is populated by gators, be careful. Don't let your dog go near those waters. Don't let them go near those areas, because that that's how they're ambush predators. They're ambush. They like to lunge and attack. That's how they do. So you've probably seen the videos thousands of times of them in Africa, and they come out and they grab the wildebeest and they pull them under. But that's what they do. They're ambush. So avoid those areas. Water moccasins, same thing. Watch out for those water areas, because that's going to be heavily populated. And since reptiles are cold-blooded, meaning that they're affected by the temperature around them, they're going to be more active, especially during the summertime, warm weather. So just a couple of facts there for you.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's transition to exotic birds. Many people use these or have birds as a pet. What's the proper way, again, in the heat or in general, to care for exotic birds?
Okay,
birds
so
in general?
when we talk about exotic birds, we're talking about Amazons, parakeets, your miniature birds, things like that. A couple of things just to look out for: excessive heat. Again, they don't do well in excessive heat, being exposed to that. But they also don't do well with drafts either. So you want to be mindful that they're not near a draft. They can catch colds just like we can. Yeah. And if you're sick, let's say you have a bird and you have an upper head cold or your upper respiratory, watch out for that, because they can catch it too. They're very, very susceptible to that. Yeah. So, and a couple of things that you can do for those that are in cages, cover the back part of their cage, helps protect them from a draft, something very simple. There's things that you can do, and keep your house at a moderately warm temperature. Okay. That's great things for them.
All right.
Yes.
Great. From time to time, we see animals on the street, either strays or lost. And some people, they feel sympathetic. They want to help the animal, take it to a shelter, even adopt the animal. As a professional in this field, how would you recommend handling that situation?
So we get that call, working in the vet clinics, we would get those kind of calls all the time. You know, there's a stray, whatever it may be. Could be dog, cat. Some people even ask about squirrels, possums, things like that. Yes, we get those kind of calls. And it's, as far as that, because you don't know the health status of that animal, and you don't know, has this animal been exposed to a disease? Let's just say, for example, rabies. You just don't know. Your safest bet would just be, hey, call animal control. I have a situation here. This animal keeps coming into my area. I need someone to just look into that. Safety at all costs. Safety, safety, safety. I can't stress that enough. It's good to have the compassion, but let's be smart. Let's be safe.
Okay, and that makes sense. Let's go back to the dogs and the cats.
Yes.
In Florida's, with summer weather, the concrete tends to get hot.
Yes.
And of course, we have to walk our animals. What are, if any, solutions to address that problem?
Yes, one of the first and foremost things, like I mentioned earlier, cool of the day for early morning, but there are actually little booties that they have for dogs.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, they're actually little booties you can put on their feet, helps protect their feet, especially because you could be walking your dog and you could come up on an area where construction's being done.
Right, right.
Sometimes, you know, the tar and things, and it's like, oh, we got to find a way to go around. So just little booties that you can put on them to help protect their feet. And especially sometimes glass or people with broken glass, you come upon that and you can help protect your pet that way. There's just little things that you can do like that.
And that makes sense. All right, well, we're going to go to break.
Okay.
But when we return, we'll talk about the FAMU Vet Tech program.
Yes.
And everything that you guys offer.
Awesome.
All right. On the other side of the break, we'll see you soon.
Your son wants to get a cat,
I'll really take care of it.
but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals 25. Good job.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Think you can change my life? Make me excited about science like you?
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Thank you.
You got a king?
Go fish. In your face, in your face.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back to Land Grant Today. My name is Dr. Jamie Davis, and again, we're speaking to Mr. Norman Scarbrough. All right, let's transition to the Vet Tech program.
Yes.
All right. Can you tell me a little bit about the Vet Tech program at FAMU?
Sure. I'm so proud of our program. I'm so excited about our program. Our Vet Tech program is a 4-year Vet Tech program. And you have 2 and you have 4-year. Ours is 4 years.
Okay.
And the wonderful thing about our program is that the 4-year length time allows us to go deeper and in depth in terms of what we teach and how we're teaching our future vet techs.
Right.
And the exposure that they get of being at a farm. So not only do we get to work our dogs that we have there, but we also have all these other species of animals. And you learn such in-depth, goats, cows, pigs, chickens, all these things there are just absolutely essential for teaching the vet tech. And being in Florida, being a big agricultural state, that's another advantage also to having that. And when they graduate with a bachelor's degree.
As opposed to an associate's degree.
Exactly,
okay.
Yes.
But an important distinction, you guys have, it's not just a classroom, you guys have an actual farm where students get that hands-on experience.
Yes, we have an actual farm, and it's an actual working farm.
Working farm.
And it is so, it's exciting. There's always something, going on there. And, the goats, when they go into kidding season, being there and, having to help and watch, babies being born, it's never a dull moment. It's never a dull moment. And our facility, it's very, very impressive in what we have there to help teach our students.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the types of animals. I know you mentioned a few, but for the students that are actually pursuing this degree, on a typical day in class working at the farm, what types of animals will they encounter?
On any given day, there will be goats. Goats will be there. Any given day, chickens. There'll be cows. There'll be bulls. There will be pigs also there. And each animal is so funny. Each animal has their own personality. And we also have horses.
Horses too.
Yes, horses too. And I know horses are a big thing because people love horses. So we have 4 there, and I think it is just wonderful the exposure that they get.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about the facilities. I know recently it was renovated. What type of experiences were our students, or any student interested, what type of experiences will they have working at the facilities? Well,
the great thing about our facility as a whole that we have there, having surgery, being able to practice putting IV catheters in, being able to, eventually we're going to have the ability to do x-ray, having all these different things there are absolutely wonderful. Running blood work, doing what we call diagnostic tests, and those include even messing with fecals. I know, not the most pleasant smelling thing, but it is viable and is important part of the diagnostic workup in terms of what we're able to do and what we do. And we also have all these things. We have these things there doing anatomy, things like that we get to do and teach our students.
Okay. So students who graduate in your program,
yes,
are they, assuming when they pass their test, the certification, are they ready to go into the field and become a vet technician, or is there another step?
They're ready to go into the field. And as with anything, or any type of program or allied health program, we get you the basics and we teach you, and this is what you're going to need to know and learn. As you go into the field and real life experience comes in, okay? And that's when you're able to adapt and really find your niche.
Right.
But they need to be prepared, and that's what we do. We prepare them to handle what they're going to face when they get out into the field.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Sounds very exciting. Let's talk briefly about the actual coursework.
Yes.
Before we actually get to the hands-on, let's talk about the coursework. What type of classes will your students have to take before they get to the hands-on pieces?
Yes, so there will be a lot of math, a lot of sciences, upper level algebra, there's geometries, your chemistries, all these things here that are going to be needed because it plays a role in what we do. And understanding and things that we work with, that's very, very important. And I know those core subjects can be very tough, but it is important. There'll be a social sciences that's important too, because working with people, you have to learn to be able to understand and work with people, because it's not just animals. There's a client side. That's a side of that too.
Valid argument?
Yes.
So for a student in high school, would you recommend for them to take science classes and math classes now, so when they transition to college and your program, they have a background in those math and sciences?
I would strongly encourage them, get your sciences and your maths, so when you come into and take the college level, you've already had that background,
right?
And it's not so like, wow, I didn't realize that this was all part of what they do.
Great advice. Let's talk about once a student completes the program, the 4-year program, what's the next step regarding certification?
Right, so once they're done, they get signed up for the VTNE.
Okay.
And this is like make it or break it. Get to the VTNE, and they take the test. They believe it's like 150, 170 questions on the test.
Wow.
And they have to go, and it is about a 3.5 hour test.
Okay.
And they get 3 tries. And after that, they have to wait till the next cycle. next cycle to run to try it again.
Okay.
But I'm very confident they're gonna do.
But after going through your program, students typically do well,
Yes.
pass the test, and gain employment.
Gain employment.
Okay.
I feel very confident they're going to do fine.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, for those that do pass the test, are they allowed to work anywhere in the United States, or is it just in Florida? How does that work?
What they'll get to do is, first they'll be anywhere good in Florida.
Okay.
And in terms of going from state to state, each state has its own rules.
Okay.
Some states you pay a fee and you're good because it is a national board exam.
Right.
Some states you have to take their exam. Depends on what the state is,
Okay.
what their rules are.
Makes sense.
Yes.
We have to go to break, but when we return, we'll have final words.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Welcome back to Land Grant Today. In closing, Mr. Scarbrough, one last question for you.
Yes.
What advice would you give a student interested in the vet tech field?
I think if I had any advice to give to anyone who wants to get into the veterinary technology field, number one, volunteer in as many places as you can. Whether it be a hospital, whether it be a park, maybe an animal park, anything at all you can do, because it shows that interest that you're really serious about what you're doing. I think get familiar with math and science. I can't stress that enough. Get familiar with that and understand that. Also, if I had any advice to give to a student who's interested, just get familiar with all the different types of animals. Get familiar with different anatomy, get familiar with behavior, because that plays a role also in terms of what we do. Also, talk to your local veterinarian. Talk to local people who are involved with animals, and just get information and see what they do, what they go through, and see where they got to be where they're at. I think that's important too, because gaining that information and gaining that insight can really help lay the way for your future, or for their future, and for that matter.
Wonderful answer. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
We appreciate your stories, your knowledge, and your insight.
This has been great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
There you have it, another show of Land Grant Today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.